They laughed before she even finished her sentence. The sound wasn't cruel at first, more like bored amusement, the kind that fills a training yard when veterans smell weakness. Boots scraped gravel. A few soldiers exchanged looks that said they had already made up their minds. Someone muttered, another one. Someone else shook his head. The clipboard officer didn't even look up. She stood there anyway. Her name was Mara Vale. She was smaller than most of them, lean rather than broad, shoulders straight but not puffed with pride. Her hair was tied tight, regulation neat. No makeup, no jewelry, just a standard issue uniform that looked like it had been worn before, washed too many times, and repaired with careful stitches. The kind of uniform that had history in it. I'm requesting a trial, she said again, calm, clear, respectful. The clipboard officer sighed and finally raised his eyes. This unit doesn't run trials on requests, he said. Selection is invitation only. I understand, sir. A ripple of chuckles moved through the line. One of the men, tall, loud, decorated, leaned toward another and whispered something that ended in a snort of laughter. You understand, the officer repeated flatly, that this is a long-range sniper evaluation unit. Yes, sir. You're infantry qualified. Yes, sir. Combat time. Yes, sir. That made him pause. How much? Enough. The laughter stopped for a heartbeat, then came back sharper. The officer frowned. This isn't a game. We don't hand out rifles to people chasing stories. Mara didn't flinch. I'm not chasing anything, sir. Then what are you doing here? She met his eyes. Coming home. That earned a full burst of laughter. Someone behind her said, home. You lost, sweetheart. She ignored it. She had learned long ago that reacting wasted energy. Energy mattered. Breath mattered. Everything mattered. The officer waved a dismissive hand. Move along. She didn't move. I'm requesting permission to demonstrate, she said. The officer's jaw tightened. Denied. A voice from the side called out, let her try. Heads turned. The speaker was a captain, arms crossed, expression unreadable. He looked at her the way a mechanic looks at an engine making a sound he doesn't recognize. 5 shots, the captain said. Standard distance. Winds shifting. The clipboard officer scoffed. Captain. 5 shots, the captain repeated. If she misses twice, she's done. A few soldiers grinned. A few leaned in, suddenly interested. The officer sighed and handed over the clipboard. Fine. 5 shots. They expected her hands to shake. They didn't. She walked to the line with quiet confidence, checked the rifle like it was an old friend, adjusted the sling, and settled into position. Her movements were economical, practiced, absent of flair. She breathed once, twice, slow and even. The wind gusted. Someone muttered, she's done. The first shot cracked the air. Dead center. The laughter faded into silence. The second shot followed before anyone could comment. Another clean hit. By the third shot, no one was breathing. The fourth hit cut through the edge of the target, compensating perfectly for the shifting wind. On the fifth shot, she waited. Too long, someone thought. Then the wind shifted again. She fired. Bullseye. No cheers came. No applause. Just stunned quiet. The captain lowered his arms slowly. Who trained you? He asked. Mara stood, cleared the rifle, and handed it back. My father, she said. The clipboard officer stared. Your records don't show sniper school. They wouldn't, she replied. Why not? Because I never finished. That brought the murmurs back. The captain studied her. Why? Because the war doesn't wait for paperwork. Something about that answer shifted the air. Before anyone could respond, a presence settled over the range, heavy, commanding, undeniable. The general had arrived. Conversations died instantly. Spines straightened. Salutes snapped up. The general's gaze moved across the field, sharp and observant, until it landed on Mara. He didn't look at her face. He looked at her forearm. Her sleeve had ridden up during the shots, just enough to reveal dark ink against scarred skin. A sniper's tattoo. Old school. Rare. Specific. The general stopped. Where did you get that? He asked. Mara met his eyes. I earned it, sir. The range felt smaller suddenly. The general stepped closer, studying the tattoo like a historian examining a relic. Only one unit used that mark, he said quietly. Yes, sir. That unit was declared wiped out. Yes, sir. The general's voice dropped. I signed the report. Mara swallowed. Then you know why I'm here. Silence stretched between them. The general straightened. Clear the range. The captain blinked. Sir. Now. As the soldiers moved away, the general looked at Mara with something new in his eyes, not doubt, not judgment, but recognition. Welcome back, he said. And for the first time since she arrived, Mara exhaled. The general did not speak again until they were alone. The range had been cleared with quiet efficiency. Targets were lowered, rifles locked away, boots carried soldiers out in disciplined silence, but every man and woman left behind something invisible in the air. Curiosity. Awe. Unease. Because soldiers recognized one truth even if they did not yet understand it, something old had just walked back into the light. Mara stood at attention while the general studied her, not as an officer inspecting a subordinate but as a man searching memory. His eyes traced the lines of her posture, the way her weight balanced evenly, the stillness that only came from years of learning how not to move. I watched them train, the general said finally. Once. Long ago. Mara nodded. Then you know. They were ghosts even then, he continued. No insignia. No public record. The best shots I ever saw. He paused. You were never listed. I was probationary, Mara said. I wasn't meant to survive long enough to be listed. The general exhaled through his nose. Come with me. They walked toward the command building. Every step echoed with things unsaid. Inside, the walls were lined with framed photographs, victories, units, medals. Mara did not look at them. She had learned the hard way that photos lied by omission. The general stopped in front of a sealed door and keyed in a code. Inside was a small conference room, bare except for a table and 2 chairs. Sit, he said. She did. Tell me everything, he said. From the beginning. Mara's hands rested on her knees. They were steady, but her voice, when it came, carried the weight of years. My father was a sniper, she began. Before he was a father. The general nodded slowly. He believed in distance, she continued. Not just physical distance. Emotional distance. He said it kept you alive. She told him about the mornings before school, when her father taught her breathing with no rifle at all. About learning wind by watching grass bend. About patience measured not in seconds, but in hours. When he died, she said, they told me it was an accident. The general looked away. I didn't believe them, Mara said. So I followed his trail. She spoke of the unit, the one with no name, only a mark. Of training so brutal it erased arrogance. Of instructors who never praised, only nodded. Of missions that never made headlines because success meant silence. We were deployed where failure wasn't allowed. She said. An extraction wasn't guaranteed. The general's jaw tightened. The final mission, he said. Yes, Mara replied. The one you signed. She described the valley. The ambush. The betrayal no report ever fully captured. How one by one, the best snipers in the world were cut down, not because they were weak, but because they were abandoned. I was the farthest out, she said. I watched them fall through glass. The room was quiet except for her voice. I stayed, she continued. Because leaving meant no one would know what happened. And now? The general asked softly. Now I carry them, she said. He leaned back, the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. Why come here now? Because the mistakes are repeating, Mara said. And because legacies don't die quietly. They fade unless someone remembers them on purpose. The general was silent for a long time. You were mocked today, he said at last. Mara's lips curved, just slightly. I've been mocked before. They didn't know. They never do, she replied. He stood. You'll have your trial, he said. Not the one they think. Over the weeks that followed, Mara was tested in ways no one else was. Night shots. Moving targets. Zero visibility simulations. Pressure drills designed to break concentration. She did not break. Where others rushed, she waited. Where others corrected late, she corrected early. Instructors stopped whispering doubts and started watching closely. Then came the live operation. A hostile compound. High-value target. Civilian proximity. The wind was wrong. The terrain worse. Mara lay prone for 6 hours without moving more than a breath. When the order came, she fired once. The mission ended clean. Back at base, no one laughed. The captain who had allowed her first trial approached her quietly. I was wrong, he said. Mara nodded. Most people are. At first. The general stood before the unit the next day. You witnessed skill, he said. But skill isn't legacy. He gestured to Mara. She carries history. And now, so do you. He turned to her. Do you accept command of the new program? Mara felt the weight of the past settle and lift. Yes, sir, she said. That night, she stood alone at the range. She rolled down her sleeve, covering the tattoo, not to hide it, but to protect it. Legacy wasn't about being seen. It was about being remembered. And somewhere, in the quiet distance her father had taught her to love, the wind shifted. If this story moved you, subscribe to her Battlefield Legacy for more powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and truth. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from?